Okay, yeah. Continue. People will betray us, but God won't. He is closer than a brother. God provided a lovely Christian counselor to come in my life. She was there to listen, encourage me, and most importantly, pray for me. She was the light in my darkness. God was faithful by providing for my financial needs. I would tell others that when it doesn't make sense, that when you know the only answer is God. Anyway, this is made this is from Tala. Tala, she said this stuff, she wrote this stuff in the book, so yeah. When I am weak, he is strong. There's been so many days that I had lost my strength and didn't know how I could get through the day, let alone the uncertain days ahead. But God made up for my weakness and gave me strength. That only comes from Him. I know it's only been by God's love, grace, and faithfulness that I've been able to keep moving forward. I had to turn from the hurt to the healer. Even Jesus needed Judas to get where he needed to be. I knew and believed that God's plan were better than mine. Even when it didn't feel good at the time, one day I know my heart will fully be healed. God is faithful, and the same God that made my heart can also heal it. Kind of like when, you got in a fight with. I'm not gonna continue saying it. Anyway, here's the bookmark I'm gonna be using. It's backwards, but it says I heart God. And then, yeah. So, I'm going to continue now. Christian author Elizabeth Elliot says, to pray, thy will be done. Must be willing if the answer requires it for my will to be undone. Even though I don't know what thy will is, that's true to me. I must be willing if the answer requires it for my will to be undone. Even though I don't know what thy will is, I'm repeating it. His will is better than mine. God knows why this all had to happen. And even if it doesn't make sense to me, it doesn't mean there wasn't a purpose for my pain. God is the author of my story, and He holds the pen. I want my story to point others to Jesus, knowing even in the midst of the storm, when the waters are crashing down, Jesus is there to calm the waves. He is there with hands stretched out, even when we may lose faith or strength to keep going. We just have to start walking towards Him, and He will save us from drowning. Matthew 4:22-33 says, immediately afterward, He compelled the disciples to get into the boat and to go ahead of Him to the other side. While He sent the crowds away, after He had sent the crowds away, He went up on the mountain by Himself to pray. And when it was evening, He was there alone, but the boat was already a long distance from the land, battered by the waves. For the wind was contrary, and in the fourth watch of the night, he came to them walking on the sea. When the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were terrified and said, "It's a ghost!" And they cried out in fear. But immediately Jesus spoke to them, saying, "Take courage, it is I. Do not be afraid." Peter responded and said to him, "Lord, if it is you, command me to come to you on the water." And he said, "Come." Peter got out of the boat and walked on the water and came toward Jesus. But seeing the wind, he became frightened and he began to sink. He cried out, saying, "Lord, save me!" Immediately, Jesus reached out with his hand and took hold of him and said to him, "You of little faith, why did you doubt?" With a question mark at the end. When they got into the boat, the wind stopped, and those who were in the boat worshipped him, saying, "You are truly God's Son." Even when it seems like God is silent or isn't there, He is. He is there, saving and protecting me from things that I may not even be aware of. There came a time where I knew that I needed to fully surrender everything in God. I need to fully surrender everything to God, leaving everything at His feet. And there is peace in knowing that God is in control of and only wants the best for me. In order to be refined and to be made new, we have to go through the fire. My future has never been uncertain to God, and I trust that He will continue to guide my pain. Okay, so I'm just gonna stop reading there. I'm gonna continue later, okay?